Here to discuss America First Legal Senior Advisor and Fight for Schools Executive Director, Ian Pryor. Ian, great to see you. This is what the parents in Loudoun County want? This is what they voted for on the school board?
Well, not only that, but this is what President Trump ran on.
Right.
And this is one of the reasons why he won last November. And what you have here in Loudoun County leading the way, but also 4 other school districts in Northern Virginia saying, we're not going to follow federal law. We're going to sacrifice millions of dollars in federal money potentially to defend boys using girls' rooms, and we're daring the Trump administration to take us on. What do they think is going to happen? The higher education institutions have been saying, all right, we'll comply. But these 5 school districts, with Loudoun included, have the temerity to think that they're going to take on the Trump administration for, I guess, the next 3.5 years at least, and, they're going to win. They're not. I can guarantee that.
Well, Ian, this is like a 90+% issue, and yet there's such defiance. It seems like we've already been down this, had this argument, and one side won, the other side didn't, but they continued to do it. So what are the tools left for the government, both at the state level and at the federal government, to actually get it back to a semblance of normalcy?
Well, that's a great question. Let's start with the federal government. I mentioned getting rid of federal funding, right? Taking away the federal funding. Now, where does that federal funding go that these schools are putting at risk? It goes to low-income schools. It goes to special needs students. These schools are making a value judgment that protecting boys going into girls' bathrooms and locker rooms is more important than low-income students and special needs students. At the state level, in Virginia, Article 1, Section 11 of the state constitution, much like Title IX, says that you shall not discriminate on the basis of sex, and mere separation of the sexes is not discrimination. Well, these school districts all say, well, this is a non-discrimination policy. Well, the Virginia Constitution says that's not going to fly. So you could see action both from the federal government with Title IX lawsuits, and you could see action from the state government based on the Virginia Constitution.
Moving on to a Trump-appointed judge has struck down anti-diversity, equity, inclusion measures from the administration's education department. This is a judge in Baltimore that President Trump appointed, blocking the education department from withholding billions of dollars in federal funding from public schools that continue to practice diversity inclusion initiatives. This just goes up the food chain of the judiciary, does it not, Ian?
It does, but I think one thing we need to be sure that people know is that both the court and the Department of Education made clear this does not stop the Department of Education from going to an individual school and saying, this program right here is discriminatory, it violates Title VI, we are going to take your money, we are going to enforce it. What this decision really talks about is, a Dear Colleague letter and an FAQ document, and it said, well, this was overbroad. Now, look, the Trump administration, the lawyers at the Department of Justice and the Department of Education have had a lot of success over the past several months at the appellate court level and at the Supreme Court. So, I predict that they probably will have some success here, whether they appeal or whether they decide they're going to change it within certain boundaries to make sure that they're able to do what they need to do to rip DEI out from these K-12 institutions.
Well, Ian Pryor, appreciate you joining us tonight.
It's good to see you,
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.